Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Leeds series. The City of Leeds is one of the 5 metropolitan boroughs of West Yorkshire. 38 civil parishes lie within its boundaries. Which slice of the city are we seeing today? Welcome back to the City of Leeds, everybody. Now, this one could well be a first for the channel. I don't think this one's going to have a main walk. It's basically going to be all done in the car. And the reason for that is because it's so spread out. It's a lot of isolated little farm settlements, little areas which have got interesting bits in them, which don't really make a walk. It's not the kind of place you can really walk around. The first one of those places, I've got 7 in total, is this here. This is a former pub called the Wharfedale, which is our starting point here. And opposite this, there's some buildings which look very much like they could be something to do with a railway. And in fact, they are something to do with a railway, because up there used to be a station. The railway features heavily in this episode. Welcome to Arthington. This Leeds video is sponsored by Past Days, a family history blog by June Terrington. You'll find her link in the description. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Arthington is a small village in Wharfedale to the north of the City of Leeds, which according to the 2011 census had a population of 532. Again, we're on the outskirts of Otley. The village is a small collection of dwellings and farms along the A659 road, Arthington Lane, running from Pool-in-Wharfedale in the west to Harewood in the east. Arthington is recorded in the Domesday Book with 3 different spellings: Hardinctone, Ardintona and Ardinton. The first element of the name comes from the Old English personal name Erd. The name means Erd's estate. Arthington is well known to producers of various TV programmes. Indeed, at least 2 of its properties have been used for filming popular shows. It's not a village you can easily walk around. In fact, in what might well be a channel first, this entire episode was done by moving the car between 7 different locations in and around the village. It's got some really wonderful things though, including a massive railway viaduct which carries the Harewood line across the River Wharfe. There's a former station and a very unusual church here. Also, Arthington has the site of one of only 2 Cluniac priories in the country. Up Black Hill Road to the south is a working stone quarry, and all around you there's gorgeous Yorkshire scenery. Farming is the main profession, and until recently this place had the oldest herd of cows in the country. Let's see what else it has. Arthington Village is a very linear, very scattered affair, with built-up areas scarce and with loosely defined boundaries. It's generally accepted that it begins here at the Wharfedale pub. The Wharfedale is opposite one of the main clumps of houses and a parish notice board. The pub closed in 2019, but there are plans to reopen it according to its owners, Star Pubs and Bars. Arthington has a lot of railway history. There used to be a railway junction here where the now closed Otley line to the former Pool-in-Wharfedale station ran. Arthington had a station of its own. It was on the Harewood line, which is what this bridge here is carrying over the road. The station closed in 1965, but there is a campaign to reopen both the station and the former Otley line. This road you can see here, which runs alongside the line, is called Station Road, and fun fact, if you walk or drive along it, you'll pass the site of both Arthington and Pool-in-Wharfedale stations. So don't be fooled by the makeup of this one, even though it does have these very small isolated areas which make up the entire parish. It does have a population of over 500, and you'll remember in the Bramhope episode last week, part of Bramhope falls within Arthington Parish, and that's why it has a population that's so high given what's out here. Now, if you think that bridge is impressive, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. Our second location takes us to a railway viaduct, and here is the viaduct. Now this is a very long viaduct. This is as close as I can get to it. I can stand right underneath it here, and it does carry an active railway line. There are some cracking shots of this on the internet. I'll give you a few of those at the end in the picture bit. But I'll take some shots of my own and tell you a little bit about this. Arthington is located at the northern end of the Bramhope Tunnel. After passing through that, the Harewood line then crosses the dramatic Arthington Viaduct over the River Wharfe to Castley. This is then also known as the Castley Viaduct as a result, and listings call it the Wharfedale Viaduct. Whatever you want to call it, this one stands alongside Penistons Viaduct as one of the best we've ever seen. The viaduct was built between 1845 and 1849, the same span of years as the Bramhope Tunnel. It's constructed in a gentle curve shape and runs to some 500 yards in length. The viaduct was actually completed before the Bramhope Tunnel, but the line could not be opened until the latter was completed. In excess of 50,000 tonnes of stone were used in its construction. There are 21 semicircular arches on high piers. The foundation stone was laid on the 31st of March 1846 by Henry Cowper Marshall, chairman of Leeds and Thirsk Railway Company. Certainly the impressive structure, isn't it? And I'm hoping I've done it justice in those few shots I've just taken of these few arches at the end of it, but it's so long. You'll see from the pictures at the end of this video. Oh, there's a train. Can't see it, but you can hear it. There you go, that proves it's an active railway line. Yeah, so from the pictures at the end of this video, you'll see exactly how long this viaduct is. And it's curved as well, it's not straight, it's a sort of a gentle curve shape, and it looks absolutely fantastic. Time to move on to the next place, and the next place is an area called Kresgeld, and that's all to do with one of the properties you can find in it. To the west of the village and south of the main road is Kresgeld Hall, a former manor house. These are its gates. It's notable for being used to film external shots of the fictional home farm in the TV serial Emmerdale. Speaking of farming, this area shows you just what kind of village Arthington is. It's primarily centred on various types of farming, which include both arable and livestock. These cows provide proof of the latter. Check out this lovely mosaic. The Kresgeld herd of British Friesians, founded in 1920, were one of the oldest established herds of black and white cattle in the country. It was dispersed in 2013. Let's take a look at some more of Arthington's properties next. Some of the biggest homes out here are yet to be seen, like Arthington Hall, which has also been used for filming, in its case the classic UK TV series Heartbeat. Not all of Arthington's buildings are centuries old. In fact, some are quite recent yet still look like they could be older, even the more mundane structures like this next one. So before I went down to Kresgeld Hall just there, I noticed this bus shelter. When was the last time you saw a bus shelter that had a date stone on it? 1970. And by the way, if I may say so myself, that's a cracking piece of architecture. Very well done, whoever built that. It's really nice. And there is a sign on the inside of it that says, Arthington Parish Council, please do not use this bus shelter as a toilet. As if I would. Okay, so our fourth area is an area that you would say is starting to approach villagey, if you like. It's got something of a village landmark. That's the village hall. That's right there. And a few other houses and things along this main road, but it's so scattered, it doesn't really have a sort of a central village bit really, although the next area we're going to up there, that has the church, and that looks a bit more village-like, I suppose. So we're approaching civilization, I suppose. Anyway, let's talk a bit about this village hall and also the cracking view you can see from here too. Arthington's village hall is sometimes called the parish room, and it's located on the A659 in the middle of the village. Its facilities include a large hall, good parking and a well-equipped kitchen. On the wall there's another Victorian postbox. This was originally sited close to the church for well over 100 years, until it was rescued and replaced here when the Royal Mail took it out of service. Arthington Beer Club are regular users of the village hall, and it's also where the village hall committee meetings take place. One has no direct correlation with the other. Unfortunately, the village's old red phone box has seen far better days. This is in the grounds of the village hall and it's just an empty shell. Maybe one day this can be reused for something. So I'm inching my way slowly up this road towards the next location. It's so difficult because there's nowhere to park. It's like a long, linear, strung out village with properties on either side. And of course, it's not a quiet road, this. There's traffic all over the place. So yeah, it's quite a hard one to visit, this. There's one thing I did notice just here, and that's an old West Riding of Yorkshire sign there on that corner. I'm going to wait for these two vans to pass and then I'll go across and have a look at it. Oh, he's turning, that's okay. Okay, we'll go across. There we go. Another one for the collection. Arthington's rather unusual church dates from 1864. It's a Grade II listed building like many others in the village. It became redundant because of the small congregation, and in 2007 it was renamed. Originally, its dedication was to St. Peter, but now it's to St. Mary and St. Abanub, and it's a Coptic Orthodox church. It serves a congregation living in West, North and East Yorkshire. The Sheepshank family, who lived at Arthington Hall after taking over from the Arthington family in the 18th century, paid for the construction of this church. Okay, that's 5 areas down, there's 2 to go. The next one is perhaps the most interesting, and again, I don't know whether I'll be able to park for it. I really don't. Right, I told you parking is a problem for this, so this is going to have to be quick. We are at the site of a former nunnery, a Cluniac Priory, and that's that building over there. I may have to take some images off the internet and do you a quick sort of section on this because I don't really want to stay here very long. But yeah, this is the nunnery here. The Cluniac congregation was a reformed branch of the Benedictines, which was a keystone to the stability that European society achieved in the 11th century. Arthington was the site of Arthington Priory, one of only 2 Cluniac nunneries in England. The other was at Delapre Abbey in Northampton, which is shown here. The Arthington site is now believed to be occupied by 2 buildings. One is Nunnery Farm, the house I've just been stood outside, which dates from 1585, having been built from the ruins. The second is Arthington Hall, built on the priory land, possibly reusing the old front door. In 1822, the hall was known to be occupied by the Earl of Harewood. It had a connection to Maltby in South Yorkshire, in that the church there was granted to the priory and formally appropriated to it by the Archbishop of York, Alexander Neville, in 1378. Little, if anything, remains of the priory now. It was originally established through a grant by Peter de Arthington. Records of the place show that discipline had to be enforced on various nuns and at one point the prioress. Henry VIII would eventually do that thing we often speak about when we encounter one of these, and in 1543 the land was given to Archbishop Thomas Cranmer. To finish, we're up above the village at our final location. Here, there are some stunning views of the Yorkshire Dales. This might be a tough old place to park in, but in some spots, it's worth it. Alright, so to finish with, we're at a quarry. I've come up Black Hill Road, and we've come quite a long way up into these hills as well. I'm looking over this sign here, and there are some pretty nice views out there. Not that the camera will probably pick them up, but there you go. So this is Blackshore Landfill at Arthington Quarry on Black Hill Road. And that's it. This is the 7th and final location I've got for you in this place. This one's been terrible to try and film. It's just not the place kind of place you can walk around. It has to be done in the car, and even then, parking spaces, you just have to know where to put the car, really, and I don't, because I'm not local. So I've done the best I can with it, and I think I've filmed the most interesting parts, and of course I've tried my best to infill the bits which I can't get to, thanks to the picture bit and other special sections within this one. So yeah, it's another one off the list in Leeds, but easily the hardest one I've ever had to do, and that's saying something, because I've done quite a lot of villages now, quite a lot of parishes now. So yeah, Arthington's up there with one of the hardest. But even so, it's gone, and it's time for me to move on to my next one here in Leeds. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot. This has been the parish of Arthington, and I'm out.